everybody. We're going to get started. Good afternoon. My name is Nick Sutter. I'm the Chief of Police for Princeton Police Department. We're here to hold a municipal press conference regarding the Princeton response to the COVID-19 crisis that we're encountering. Let me just introduce our speakers for today. Mayor Liz Lambert, Superintendent Steve Cochran, from our Health Department, Health Officer Jeff Grosser, and the Chairman of the Chair of the Princeton Health Department, Dr. George D. Ferdinando. We're going to start with Mayor Lambert.
Thanks, Chief. I do want to thank the Chief and our Health Officer, Jeff Grosser, and Superintendent Cochran, Dr. George D. Fernando from the Board of Health, and the nonprofits in our community and the university. This has been a difficult time, but there's been tremendous cooperation and leadership shown in these different groups. A real sense of solidarity. We are lucky in Princeton to have a terrific community, and we're going into this with very strong relationships, both on personal level with one another and also across institutions. And we're going to be leaning on those relationships to get us through what will be a difficult and challenging period. We are all in this together, and we are all going to be experiencing severe disruptions in our normal course of business and our lives, and it's important for our community's public health for each of us to step up and do our part. Given the rapidly evolving outbreak and the threat to the public health here in Princeton, we are declaring a state of emergency, and we are effectively ordering the following. Number one, all scheduled public meetings held by Princeton's boards, committees, and commissions, including meetings of the Princeton Planning Board and the Princeton Zoning Board of Adjustment, are hereby canceled through April 5th, 2020. All meetings of the Princeton Mayor and Council are hereby canceled through April 5th, 2020, except for such special or emergency meetings as may be needed in the interim for the purpose of approving payments of bills and claims. All municipally sponsored events are canceled through April 30th, 2020. All private events held on municipal property and all events requiring municipal permits are canceled through April 30th, 2020, including events for which permits have already been issued. The administrator is temporarily authorized and empowered to hire any employees and to enter into service agreement with any independent contractors as may be necessary to address the needs of the municipality during this period of emergency. Until further notice, all municipal employees are barred from business-related out-of-state travel or attendance at any in-state conference, seminar, or other business-related large group gathering, even if previously approved. All Princeton agencies shall coordinate and communicate with the Princeton Office of Emergency Management to utilize all facilities owned, rented, operated, and maintained by Princeton to aid and assist persons of Princeton to protect life and property during the course of the emergency. And in addition, we're asking the public to please use the online resources we have to pay taxes, utility payments, licenses, permits, all other local government business that can be done online. We're asking folks to avail themselves of that option. I'm going to now, I know there was a notification about an hour ago that we had a positive test result come back. It's the first one here in Princeton, and with that I'm going to turn things over to our health officer, Jeff Grosser, to give the briefing on that.
first positive case of COVID-19 novel coronavirus. The resident is a 49-year-old female who attended a private party with 2 individuals from the Boston area who subsequently tested positive for coronavirus. The resident began experiencing mild illness on March 3rd. She reported attending 2 events after her symptoms began. The first event took place in Staten Island on March 7th at Dance Festival. The second event was a meeting at the Princeton Medical Center on March 9th. She has been isolated at home since the evening of March 9th. We have contacted the event coordinators for both locations to further identify any possible exposure. The health department was notified of presumptive positive results for this individual from the New Jersey Department of Health Public Environmental Health Laboratory today, March 13th. The Princeton Health Department was notified of the February 29th meeting and potential exposure to coronavirus the evening of March 9th. Since that notification, all individuals attending that party have been instructed to stay home as if they tested positive. With the presumed positive result, the health department is now empowered to impose stricter limits to the close contacts of this individual. As more cases are observed throughout New Jersey, we are urging people with underlying health conditions, pregnant women, and the elderly to practice social distancing by avoiding non-essential travel, public events, community gatherings, and indoor venues. Everyone and every organization has to do their part to help us slow the spread of this virus. I will now turn the microphone over to Dr. Di Fernando, Chair of the Princeton Board of Health, to discuss the situation further.
Thank you, Jeff. With this positive result, post-exposure to cases, other infected cases, Princeton is now moving from a planning phase, preparation phase, into a containment phase. And simply regarding this exposure event, we're attempting to contain the exposure and the further infections that occurred during this exposure, and this still gives the public some period of time to plan and prepare, because we have no data at this point that there's extensive community spread within our community. So people should still feel that they have an opportunity to do the various preparatory activities that have been outlined by the Centers for Disease Control and the New Jersey State Department of Health. These especially include different types of preparations for people who are at highest risk, people over 60, people with diabetes, lung and heart disease, kidney disease, immune deficiencies. They need to prepare for a longer period of their own social distancing to protect themselves and protect those around them. As we find more information about both this particular case and any other issues that may arise from this particular case, we're going to be sharing that with the community. As you most certainly have heard, the Princeton School District and the charter school will be closing as of Monday. And at this point, I think that's an example that the schools are doing their part to start decreasing exposure and decreasing large events and cross-exposure between our population. We're now moving into a situation where other parts of the community, churches, businesses, private and not-for-profits, need to start taking very seriously their planning for limiting contacts, especially for those workers that they have who may be in these risk groups, but also for the citizens that they serve who might or especially in these risk groups. There are examples that have been posted on the Centers for Disease Control website of how communities can prepare to limit the spread and the damage from this virus. There's also an excellent example on the CDC website about how one of our sister cities north of us in New Rochelle, New York, has created a detailed plan of how they are limiting contact and exposure. We're not yet at where New Rochelle is, but I think we need to be planning to do that type of implementation when and if we document moderate and especially extensive community spread. So Now's the time to start containing, to get all your preparations ready if you need to stay indoors, if you need to limit your personal contact. And I know this is at least the third time, especially for people over 60, especially for people with heart disease, lung disease, renal disease, immune deficiencies, and for those caregivers who deal with those. People's mother, father, sisters, brothers, aunts and uncles. We have to consider what we're doing when we interact with those especially vulnerable people and make sure our actions wind up protecting those people that we have in contact with. There's a lot of community organizations and individuals are coming together right now, and to the extent that you can volunteer or help or create comfort for those around you or for your neighbors, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to reach out to your neighbors, share information, attempt to figure out how you can help each other get through this situation. This situation could easily extend for a period of several to many weeks. Right now, the town is clearly not being any type of lockdown or anything like that. But if it comes to that, there could be an extended period where we're all going to have to really help each other one-on-one and in groups. So we're planning for that right now. And to speak to what the schools have been doing, we have Steve Cochran here from the superintendent of Princeton Public Schools.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are, as I think everyone is aware, entering an unprecedented time in the life of our community, of our country, and of our planet. We do not have all the answers in the face of this pandemic, but what we do have are each other. And so I want to begin by thanking Jeff and George for the advice that they have been giving to me and to the schools as we attempt to address the many issues associated with our response to the coronavirus. They have been helpful as we examine individual cases and questions, and they have been helpful as we look at a more macro level in terms of the steps that the school district can and should be taking. We began, as many of you know, with extensive cleaning of our buildings and our buses, frequently touched surfaces. We began with basic hygiene and hygiene education for our children and our staff. And we began with some forms of social distancing. And there are various degrees of social distancing. At the most basic level, it would be alternate handshakes, or alternate greetings. So instead of handshakes or hugs, we might be encouraging our staff and our students to wave, to bow, to bump elbows or fists. We began there. The next level that we did implement was the postponement of large gatherings, extracurricular activities, assemblies, field trips. The most extreme form of social distancing that a school district can take would be the implementation of remote learning. And that would be where our students are continuing their instruction across grade levels, across subjects, but doing so from home. And so we are at a point where we will be implementing remote learning in the Princeton Public Schools beginning Monday, March 16th, and extending initially for a 2-week period through Friday, March 27th. So we are encouraging our students to go online, to read the emails from their teachers. We've been working with them for the past week and a half on how to access the learning virtually or through the packets of information that teachers may be providing. It's important to understand that in a school system, unlike a university where people are older and more used to remote learning, we have younger 5- and 6-year-olds who we have to help understand how to access that kind of instruction. We have students with more profound learning disabilities. We need to think about their needs and how they can be learning remotely. So there is a great deal of planning that goes into this process. So we, as I said, will be beginning with a period of 2 weeks, at which point we will be evaluating. whether we need to extend the remote learning and that remote instruction. It is important for people to understand that our schools are not closed. This is not like a snow day or a snow call where we're saying it's dangerous to leave your house or to come to the school building. So our schools will be open, they will be staffed. Schools are places of structure and stability, places of care and support and communication, and we want them to continue to serve that function. So we will keep them open. If our staff, we're encouraging or welcoming our staff to come in. If they want to plan with colleagues, they can do so. If a student has forgotten a novel in their locker and they need to pick it up, or they need help with technology, we'll have people available to help with that. The goal of remote learning is not to close schools, but simply to ensure that we don't have large groups of students within a single space. The other important component to our plan for distance learning, for remote learning, is to ensure that we are able to feed the students, the nearly 500 students in the Princeton Public Schools who qualify for the federal lunch program. And so I'm really very grateful for the work that our food service company, NutriServe, has done, that our staff have organized so that we are able to feed those students, and we are prepared for this 2-week period. We have procured breakfasts and lunches for the next 2 weeks for every student who qualifies for breakfast and lunch on the federal lunch program, and they meet the nutritional guidelines. We have placed those in boxes, 1 box for every student. And we had help from our students and our staff in packing all those boxes. Our transportation department will then we have 15 buses and various locations throughout the community, and you will be communicating to our families where they can find in their neighborhood a bus on Monday morning at some point, where they can then pick up the food that we hope sustain them through the next 2 weeks, and at the end of that 2-week period we'll reassess and provide more food if necessary. Our staff is eager to help. I really cannot thank them enough for the work they have done to prepare for this time period, this unprecedented way of learning and teaching. They've been collaborative and creative and compassionate in the way they have put together materials, and they will continue to do that. And they are also here to support this community in any way they can. We are continuing to pay our staff during this period. We have buses available, bus drivers available. We have teacher assistants who are eager to help. I know the mayor is going to be talking a little bit about opportunities to volunteer. We've been receiving lots of questions about the needs that our families may have and that the families in the community may have as we move through this period. So I do know that our school gymnasiums at the elementary level will be open to receive donations of food and other basic necessities, hygiene products, for example, that people may need. So the gyms will be open from 10 until 2, Monday through Friday of next week. We'll have staff available to receive the items and to place them into boxes and organize it so that we can deliver that to the families who may need it. I began by talking about social distancing as the way to mitigate the spread of the virus, to level the curve, so to speak. But as I've stated before, it's really our social connections that will guide us through this tumultuous time. It's our compassion for each other, our support of one another. As the mayor said, we are a community of partners, institutional partners, individual partners, and we need to draw on that. I would also say that this is a time when we're talking a lot about the physical health of our students and our staff and our residents within the community. We also need to be thinking about and talking about the emotional health as we all come to terms with something that we have probably never experienced before, and there's a great deal of anxiety that many of us are feeling. It's important that we support one another and recognize that our children will take cues from us in terms of our level of calm and cooperation as we move through this time. Thank you.
So we have received a giant outpouring of people wondering how they can plug in and volunteer. So I have a couple places to refer people to. The first is on the municipal website, www.princetonnj.gov. If you go under departments and look up the Human Services Department, they have a tab on coronavirus resources. Included in that tab are places that, for people who need food, that are still doing food distribution. A lot of that has changed from in-person meals to meals that you can pick up. And there's also a section on there where if you're able to volunteer, either donate or help deliver food, you can sign up to volunteer. So again, that's princetonnj.gov on the human services. I think I said the wrong thing before. Human services page. So please go there. The other population that's in need during this period are seniors. They're especially vulnerable to this virus. Council President David Cohen has been working on an initiative called the Neighborhood Buddy Initiative, and we are redoubling our efforts on that. And the first step, if you want to get involved, is really a grassroots buddy system. So if you have a neighbor that's elderly, we encourage you to reach out, ideally by phone or over email if they need help with running errands, just checking in. And if you want to help and don't know anybody you think might need help, we'll be putting some information up on our website about how we can help make those connections. Or if you're somebody who would like to be matched with somebody, we will try to make those connections too if you find you need help. I wanted to make some additional announcements in addition to the school closure of institutions and spaces that have announced closures. The first one I wanted to announce was the Princeton Public Library. They will be closing tonight at 9 p.m. and plan to remain closed until at least Monday, March 30th. Late fees are going to be waived and loan periods will be extended during the closure. The library is asking its customers to keep materials until the building reopens. And the book drops are going to be closed during the period that the library is closed. The library has a variety of online resources that they're referring people to, ebooks, audiobooks, online magazines, streaming films, etc. Research databases will be available, and online homework help and test prep will also be available throughout the closure through something called BrainFuse. And library staff will be available for online chat sessions for those who need assistance using those digital resources. And the Princeton Public Library website, for those who don't know it, is princetonlibrary.org. The YWCA has announced that they're temporarily suspending their programming effective Monday, March 16th until at least Friday, March 27th. McCarter is going to be closed through March 31st. Pi Day Princeton, which was scheduled for this weekend, is going virtual, so definitely encourage everybody to take advantage of Pi Day on their computers. The Princeton University Jazz Festival has been canceled. Communiversity has been postponed until October. March and early April Princeton Symphony Orchestra events have been canceled. the PCDO candidate forum and endorsement meeting scheduled for this Sunday will be virtual with a new start time of 5 p.m. The forum will be live streamed on the PCDO website, and votes will be recorded by way of a secure email ballot survey. The Princeton Merchants Association and Sustainable Princeton event, Go Green to Make More Green, has also been postponed. The Arts Council has canceled all classes. The Garden Theater is closed for 2 weeks, starting yesterday through March 26th. The Lewis Center has canceled all public events and activities scheduled through the end of spring term 2020. So we do encourage folks to have something on their calendar to check first. There are obviously widespread closures, and we expect there to potentially be more in the days and weeks ahead. And with that, I will turn it over to Chief Sutter.
Before we take any questions, I just want to update everybody on emergency services very quickly. We know this is a scary time for our community, but we want to assure everyone I am absolutely confident standing before you to tell you that our emergency responders, police, EMS, and fire are prepared. We're ready. You will not see, I can assure you we will be there in emergencies. You will not see I'm confident you will not see a degradation in emergency services. We've instituted in our police department our emergency operations plan and our emergency continuity of operations plan. So through this plan, we are effectively attempting and confident that we will mitigate the effect of any illness or quarantine within our department. We're confident that this is going to be a plan that's going to see us through this event. With that said, the overreaching goals of these plans ultimately is to provide emergency services. So, in a worst-case scenario, we are confident that we will be there for our community. I will say you may see some, as we move along, this is going to be a fluid situation, some administrative services or non-essential services within the police department move to an electronic format, hopefully telephone, a lot of things we can do that way. We put information out on Facebook today concerning that. We're trying to limit the amount of one-on-one or group contact, okay, that our staff and community will have through the event. That'll help mitigate this, obviously. With regard to that and services within the municipality itself, again, it's a very fluid situation. The mayor mentioned that we're inviting you to visit our website, do as much communication as you can with the town via phone and electronically through the website. I think there's a large amount of business that we can do daily that can be conducted that way, and we are going to be examining internally as we move forward how we can serve the community in those ways that are commonly done in person. There are some things that we recognize that are done, have to be done on site. So we will have an answer with regard, because I know everybody's thinking of things in their mind right now, and we are too. So once we have these things figured out in terms of the services and how they're going to be offered, we'll be communicating that to the public. Other than that, we want to open it up for any questions.
I want to thank you for taking the measure. My name's Katie Stoltz-Fustowick. I live on Harris Road. I have 2 children in our elementary school. I want to thank you for taking the measures that you've taken to date, for closing the library, for closing our schools, for working to send food to families who need it. When I hear this statement, there are now widespread closures, but there are more to come in the days and weeks ahead, my heart sinks. When I hear that teachers are allowed in our school building, my heart sinks. When I hear that police are waiting to move non-essential services to electronic to the days and weeks ahead, my heart sinks. Montgomery County, Pennsylvania has shut down all non-essential retail, all gyms, all gathering places. I am asking Princeton to do the same, all of it today, not when we get more cases. Teachers should not be coming to our schools. The only people in our schools should be the people who are making sure that the boilers are not shutting down and the mold isn't growing. If you ask why I feel so strongly about this, I want you to go home and read about what is happening today in Italy. I want you to find and read the Atlantic article, and I will be happy to send it to you. I've already sent it to some of you. A doctors' association in Italy put out guidelines to doctors about how they make decisions when they have 2 patients who need a ventilator, 2 patients who need treatment, and they can only treat 1. An ethicist said they could not fault those guidelines. 3 weeks ago in Italy, 3 weeks ago today in Italy, there were 21 cases. New Jersey has 50, and we know we are under testing. Yesterday, in 3 weeks, Italy went from 21 cases to 15,000. Our hospitals cannot handle this. You have the power to close lives by decisive and extreme and drastic measures today. Not tomorrow, today. Every single day counts. Every single day means we flatten that curve. Every single day means our hospitals are less overloaded than they otherwise would have been. There was the Spanish flu pandemic in 1918. There's a great Medium article that some of you have gotten by email about why you must act now. In 1918, Philadelphia took 16 days to shut down after their first case. They had a huge spikes in deaths, and their morgues were overrun because they couldn't handle the influx of bodies.
Ma'am, we're very aware, and thank you for your comments. We really need to get critical questions answered. We appreciate your comments.
Why are you not taking these drastic measures now?
We're aware. Are there any questions?
That's my question. Why are you not taking these drastic measures now?
We're proceeding deliberately according to all best practices, under all advice from all the entities.
No,
that
the
we-
epidemiologists do not agree.
I understand, okay. Are there any other?
But can you answer
questions?
why you're not taking these actions now?
Okay, so first thing we're going to do is you let me answer before you interrupt me. I am an epidemiologist. I've been doing infectious disease control for the past 40 years. I have all the information you've quoted. I'm fully aware of that information. Just to establish, so you can, to the extent that gives you any, at least there's common ground in the information that you and I have. It's not that I'm unaware of the information you've got. It's not that people at the Centers for Disease Control are unaware of the information you've got. You may not feel that way, but I'm just here to assert that I've read pretty much everything that you also have read. I'm aware that there are other municipalities that are shutting down, as is the mayor, as is the chief, as we all are. There is also a question of preparing the community before we shut down. So the shutdowns in Italy, where my relatives are, some of them occurred before those communities were prepared to shut down. I understand that there's the potential that you shut down too late. There's also the potential of shutting people inside in their homes before the community is prepared for it. I understand that you are prepared for this community to shut down. The rest of the community is not yet prepared to shut down, nor has it been recommended by either the Centers for Disease Control, the state of New Jersey, the state health department of New Jersey, nor Mercer County, New Jersey. You perhaps have a belief, which is great, that for some reason this municipal government has absolute power to shutter its businesses, its places of worship. That is not yet the case. With the invocation of the Emergency Health Powers Act on Tuesday night by the governor of the state and the commissioner of health of the state, there is the potential for those authorities to devolve, if invoked, to the county of Mercer and to the town of Princeton. Those don't currently exist. The comment I'm trying to make, and perhaps I should make it more explicit, the school has done its part in closing. We can have a debate either offline or now about the potential danger or, I believe, lack thereof of people going into inanimate objects in the school. There's no danger that I perceive or has been documented that cleaned inanimate objects are a danger to people going in and out of that school. But again, we can have that's an honest debate that can be had. But what needs to happen now is the other components of our society, while it's still a voluntary situation and the powers to close have not devolved to this municipality, do their part to close. So believe it or not, we have common ground, but we're attempting to deal with the powers and authorities that we currently have at the municipal level and you heard the list of places closing. So it's occurring, perhaps not to the timeliness that you believe is the perfect timeliness, but it is, these things are happening in real time. That's my answer. And perhaps before we go to other questions, if there are other people in this room, you would like to respond to some of the comments that I made.
At least our schools should having only essential personnel in them. Our teachers should not be encouraged to come and gather. We should really encourage work from home. We should be encouraging that.
We're absolutely, so the question was, we should be encouraging work from home. I believe we are doing it. Many of the organizations that both yesterday, private not-for-profits, and this morning municipal, they're all rushing to implement work from home. But again, if you are not in one of the adult risk groups, over 60, renal, heart disease, lung disease, immune deficiency, you are in a small group, or even by yourself in the school district, an individual teacher walking into the individual school building, there is no more risk for them than there is in some other inanimate space. It is the interaction of ill people with healthy people is how this is transmitted. Other questions either for me or for other people? I'm having trouble seeing, so yes, Beth.
What message would you give to the parents of the public school children who now have them home? Children come home, they want to see their friends, they want to go hang out in town, they want to have play dates. What do we tell the parents?
So make sure that the people who are watching this or will watch this, the question is what advice do you give to the parents whose youngsters are coming home? This is something that's on all our minds because typically when schools are released, there are at least some structures for those youngsters to go to. If you can afford it, there's summer camp. If you can afford it, there's X, Y, and Z. There are plenty of situations where people can't afford it or another reason where students go home. But we're now in a situation where we're sending youngsters home to a non-structured environment. The university and other universities were able to send their students home, and they went to other municipalities. But ours are in our municipality, so again, all of us are going to have to struggle on how to corral our students, because they're the least vulnerable to disease, but they're perhaps as likely to be infected. There's actually some debate on that, whether a youngster not only is less likely to be diseased, but is even potentially less likely to be infected. But you can't be in a situation where there are large crowds of students on Hines Plaza, or we heard about the library closing. It's not going to be in the library, but there are going to be public spaces that we're all going to have to struggle on how to figure out how to stop our youngsters from. And then the superintendent pointed out, from the mental health point of view, okay, now you've got a group of students, especially adolescents, but certainly even younger adults, who are under a lot of stress. They're channeling the stress of their parents. And who knows what when we all imagine what choices or good or bad choices those youngsters might take in their behaviors. Not just the crowding that might occur and might contribute to the spread of this infection, but this will not stop all the other issues that our youngsters have to deal with. Most likely it will exacerbate those stresses on our youngsters. So it's not like I have a magic answer. I suspect the mayor and the superintendent and the chief and our health officer don't have a magic other than to say parent to parent, now's the time to look at your kids and make sure to the extent that they're listening to you, you can get through to them and you get a message through to them that you care about them and we're going to try to figure out how to get them through this. But it's not a magic answer. I don't have a structured answer to, okay, this is how we're going to handle the students that are now out of the school and in the community. I think we're all struggling with that. I personally would go back home and look at what's going on in California, in Seattle, in New Rochelle, in Berkeley now, because all of us are going to have to figure out how all the students on our hands, how do we deal with them? Because to a certain extent, referring back to the other question, it's great that the schools are closed, but the youngsters have just really been physically moved to other locations. There's no particular decrease. And in fact, the research that's posted is that school closures in and of themselves don't have substantial impact either way on flattening the curve. So schools in this setting are closing to prep and to be part of a community effort. I wish it was true that closing the schools would flatten the curve. There's no real research either in the United States or from Singapore or from Italy. The community may soon be ready to close everything but pharmacies and food establishments, which is what they're doing in Italy. And I'm well aware, because I'm getting emails from my medical colleagues in Italy, of the horrible choices that they're being put into triage of the patients. We don't want to put our hospitals in those situations, I agree totally. But getting between here and there, with the authorities that we currently have, we're pushing forward as fast as we can. That's where I'm coming from. I don't know, Mayor, if you want to speak to that, or...
We are working on putting together some resources. This is something that we'll be partnering with different groups on, and I know there's some Trinity Counseling Service is trying to do some of their counseling services online, as will probably other folks, and this is part of the preparation. You know, we want to make sure that there's resources out there for folks that need it, and again, I think we have to be checking in on each other and on our neighbors, and be doing that probably more over the phone and by email than in person, unfortunately. One of the things the science does tell us is that social distancing is effective, combined with good personal hygiene. So I know we've all been probably washing our hands multiple times a day, and if we can limit our distance from one another, both to protect ourselves and especially to protect the people who are most vulnerable from having serious consequences if they get infected. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much.
I would like to just make another comment. When you make comments like certain people should isolate and distance themselves,
no, I'm not saying. I'm saying every single person should be exercising this social distancing. Every single person should, both to keep yourself healthy and to keep other people healthy.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't mean only certain people should be exercising it.
I heard another comment that it was that group of people, pregnant women, older people, and people with pre-existing conditions who need to work on self-isolation. The entire community does. It is not just those people. The entire community needs to do this.
Right. I think those people are most vulnerable, but we all have to be doing this for our entire community. I agree. Okay, so I do want to just one more point of information. If you go on the website and sign up for alerts, it's a good way to get on our email system. We're going to be pushing out more information during the next period, probably than we normally do. And it's, if you want to be receiving those emails, please go online, princetonnj.gov, and sign up for those, the newsletter and other alerts. And if you sign up to follow the municipality on its web channels, it's also a good way to stay up to date on what's going on. So thank you very much. We will try to do this again as needed in the coming weeks. And we just want to thank everybody, especially people who are watching and people who are here, for your patience and for your sense of community. You know, we will get through this, and it is going to just take each and every one of us doing our part and pitching in where we can. So thank you very much.